Metroid, originally released in Japan in 1986, quickly made its way into infamy. The graphics, soundtrack, and controls got it ranked as the third most popular game in Nintendo Power for the first 3 issues in a row, and it remained in the top 10 for several more. With its incredible difficulty and one of the first female protagonists in gaming, it's no wonder why the game stayed in the minds of players for years to come. My personal experience with Metroid is limited. One of 2 of my experiences with Metroid is not even from a Metroid game, but from playing Smash Bros. Melee a lot as a kid. The other experience being watching my older brother play and beat Metroid Prime. I remember how excited he was to tell me that Samus was a girl like me, even going so far as to make sure that I got to see the ending scene in Metroid Prime where she takes off her helmet. At the time, he felt I was too young to play the game given that I couldn't read, so I didn't try to play Metroid Prime until I was 14. When I tried, I got lost and gave up. And so I tried again a few years ago, and I got lost and gave up.
There we go. Alright, I did it, guys. It only took me— what? No!
So my track record is already not so good.
1986?
But I truly did underestimate the difficulty of this game. I mean, even in the 80s, when games are mostly all hard in general, at least to gamers nowadays, Metroid was still considered hard by the masses. You want proof that it was hard in the 80s? Here's a letter published in Nintendo Power in 1988. Dear Nintendo, Metroid has to be one of the best games ever made, at least the most challenging. Anyone who plays this game cannot say it's easy. You really have to use your mind for this game. If you have this game or are going to get it, you'll enjoy it for a long, long time. Keep making more games like this. Jason Newt, Beaverton, Oregon. Nintendo responded with, a lot of players share your sentiments about Metroid. There are many secrets yet to be discovered, so if you find any new ones, be sure to let us know about them. Imagine me in 2023 playing this game for the first time without the same experience of 80s gamers playing arcade-style games and actual arcades, losing money every time they die, and probably owning, if at all, maybe 2 or 3 games total. Needless to say, playing this game was nearly physically painful for me. I dreaded each stream that I played this, and I almost kind of avoided it.
I have to go through this place again. And I gotta save my missiles. At least the enemies don't
So is all that to say that I had a bad experience playing this game? Well, yes. But also, no. It was grueling. It was hard. It was unforgiving completely. It had grinding, backtracking, confusing secrets, and hidden power-ups that were so hidden they seemed pretty much impossible to find without help, but are necessary in order to beat the game. And the worst part is, I had no clue that the version everybody loves is actually Super Metroid. And while it's not technically a remake, it's widely considered the superior game to play, as it's a reimagining sequel, aka a requel, by the time I realized that I'd already been playing Metroid for a few hours, so I decided to stick with it. It didn't take long before I realized that most of my chat hadn't even played Metroid NES and only knew Super Metroid. The amount of people that came into my chat and tried to help me pull up a map is actually hilarious.
JC, okay, JC, learn me what button to press to get the in-game map. I would love for you to tell me. Played a PC remake that was very faithful but added some features. It's okay. There's just nothing like someone getting the version confused, being like, why don't you just press the C button and then do a triple backflip and kill the boss? Why don't you just pull out Samus's bazooka that instant kills every enemy?
Doing a little bit of research, i.e. reading Reddit, people liked Super Metroid more for a variety of reasons. Apparently the soundtrack is higher quality and more fun, less clunky controls, more item pickups and secret passages that help the player get through the world faster. But the thing I kept seeing people bring up is the fact that it has a map. Of all things, it had to be the map. You know, the thing I deliberately left out of my playthrough of the game. Apparently it makes a big difference, but I didn't know that. And when I did know that, I didn't care because I'm stubborn.
Are you playing this with or without a map? Without. I know, full 80s.
People in 1986 probably would have used a pencil and paper, and MS Paint before its first and only ever update was similar enough, so I ran with it.
This is where we start. Okay? I mean, there's only one way to find out.
Unbeknownst to me, this ended up being a nearly masochistic decision. This map both helped and added to the difficulty in different ways. It It helped because without it, I don't think I'd ever remember where I was ever, and I'm sure the game would have been unplayable for me. A lot of areas look the same, and it's easy to get stuck in similar looking hallways, which happened to me anyways, because sometimes I'd be focusing on playing and forget to update my map. I also took a while to make a legend and would forget what different things on my map meant regularly. I think there was something over here, but I think it leads here. Okay, we're gonna check out this area. It's better not lead to the sand pile, because I'll be pissed off at myself. Oh, so it ultimately leads to the fucking sand. Okay. Still, it kind of made me feel more immersed. Even in this 8-bit, 37-year-old game, I felt like I really was Samus in a foreign, alien world, trying to make sense of it all, trying to find my way around. And in that sense, backtracking made perfect sense. If you landed in a little alien world like this, odds are it's not linear to achieve all your goals. You must traverse through the lands, find the enemies you need to defeat, and the items you need to grab, and then finally face off against the big boss. So in that sense, I feel like I can truly respect it. In another sense though, it was total bullshit. The game gives you a brief story of what's going on. The story is expanded upon in the manual, which you are expected to read. After all, manuals were the tutorials of the olden days. The game just says,
Defeat the Metroid of the planet Zebeth and destroy the Mother Brain, Mechanical Life Vein, Galaxy Federal Police, M510.
while the manual has 5 pages explaining what's going on. It basically says that the Galactic Federation found a potentially dangerous life form that maybe deleted an entire planet that shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. So they nabbed it and started taking it back to their research facility, and then they were ambushed by space pirates, who then took that life form back to their lair. And then when they tried to go and fight the space pirates, they were too weak. So they hired Samus Aran, the greatest of space hunters, to go to the Mother Brain and destroy the life form so that it cannot reproduce. I've never been so fucking lost in my goddamn life. I know already that some of you are already thinking, Poppy, the game manual has a map. You don't need to draw one. Well, this is the map that's in the manual.
This is the fucking map?
So yeah, it does provide you with this shitty little map and says have fun, but it's better than nothing. Otherwise, how the fuck are you supposed to know to go here, look for power-ups, go all the way back here, fight this guy, then go back over here, fight this guy, and then go back again to fight the big boss? Right away, the first things I noticed upon starting the game are your gun shoots not very far away, can't shoot diagonal, and you have dog shit for health.
Dude, I'm going back, I'm going back! Why am I dying? The doors hurt me?
You can be entering a door, it's not safe. That animation, you are not safe in that animation. I died in doorways so many times.
Go, Samus! What?
Oh my god, the grinding. I almost changed my name to Old McDonald because I was farming. I still have hours of footage of me farming. Hours. When you die, the game sends you back to the nearest elevator and resets you back to 30 health and no missiles. But when you find an upgrade, it will fill either thing to its new maximum. But no matter how many upgrades you get, you still reset all the way down to 30 when you die. This means not only will you need to shoot bugs after dying to get more health and missiles, but the longer you play, the longer you will probably have to grind to get back to having health and missiles again.
Drop some health, you motherfucker!
Even if you manage to not die for a while, some enemies, like these spider-looking ass things, hit you for 20 damage. So if they hit you a few times in a row, which they will, you will need to farm health again anyways.
Yay, farming!
I wanted to try my best to beat this game as if I was playing it for the first time in the 80s, but despite my commitment to my MS Paint map, I technically failed. After dying over and over, again and again, I eventually lost my patience and committed a retro gaming sin. I'm sure that the 80s gamers out there right now would face great disappointment in knowing that I used the rewind feature. Yes, I'm a zoomer, and thus I will zoom. I'm not perfect. Zoom back in time to when I had more items or I wasn't getting killed repeatedly by those fucking spiders.
Okay, we're just gonna save scum a little bit. Just for your entertainment, viewer. For your entertainment, dear viewer. No. For your—
I save scummed, but not first without trying to understand what those 80s kids were doing. Standing there after a death, having to farm back to your original glory for like an hour is not so funky and not so fresh. It was pure pain, but rewinding still had its own special kind of embarrassment. Rewind die, rewind, die, rewind, die, 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 die. Truly, if I did this the authentic way, I would have been stuck here for 3 hours. And I was live streaming, so I did not want to do that to my audience, at least when I have this tool at my disposal. I did use save states too, but I did try the password system first, which I hated.
What kind of, okay, 40, oh god.
As you can see, the password system is 24 characters long, which if you ask me, is way too fucking long. So I decided, fuck it. I mean, password systems only exist because of the technical limitations from the consoles back then, and adds nothing to difficulty aside from the menuing itself. While this did help save my sanity a little bit, I almost changed my name to Kyle so I could go punch a hole in my drywall.
Wait a minute. Are you Kate? She didn't even have a chance!
I explored and found the first boss with relative ease, which was a major surprise.
Is that the mini-boss? Nah, it's definitely a regular enemy. Oh, don't think. Is that even a boss? I think that's just a really fucked up enemy.
Pranked! It wasn't the boss. It was just a really hard enemy I fought in a hallway. But then, wait. I find the boss by going through 2 hidden passageways, and that was the boss, but blue? Did its brother get lost on the way home or something? Huh? This boss was pretty hard. The floor is slippery as if there's ice physics, the boss gives you knockback, and the pattern for hitting the boss is very tight. And the game lags like a motherfucker, giving you bouts of inconsistent slow motion. I actually beat it by cheesing it, letting it damage the shit out of me and staying very close so its gun doesn't block hits. Took me about an hour though. And fun little fact, the game devs knew you had to farm. They had this little gift for me right before the boss. Very epic. This was the easiest time I had finding anything throughout my entire playthrough of the game. I think this is the case for 2 reasons. The first reason being my own map.
To a door. Dropped us here. That makes no fucking sense, but it did. But that's what happened.
For reference, this is what my map says versus what the map actually says. As you can see, I'm not a great cartographer. Not only was I marking doors down twice, filling in areas completely wrong, and my map's fucking wrong, but I'd also forget what my own legend meant. If I remember right, this purple. The second reason is that this game is a maze. The manual told me I would need to go to Brinstar to find power-ups before fighting the first mini-boss, which I did, thinking it meant missiles and energy tanks that are out in the open.
Everything's fine. New power-up?
Turns out in Brinstar, you can find 2 very powerful power-ups hidden inside the floors, and without getting any of the larger power-ups early on, the game's difficulty seems even harder. After hours of running around lost, once I finally did get the ice power-up, it was the big breakthrough that allowed me to progress, even if it technically wasn't necessary yet. Going through floors to find things is very much a theme in Metroid. You fall through so many floors to get to places, but the previously mentioned power is found up on a floor that is identical to another floor that leads to nothing. And if you were to do this without rewinds or save states, you would have needed to reset your game or use these spawning blocks to kill you if you had thought of it. Old game devs are sick in the head, I tell you. Sometimes with this level of trickery, I feel like I'm in Saw or something. You want to play a game? You want to play a game? They punish you for being close to finding a good power-up. Not only that, but in some ways, this map is just mean. What the fuck is this? This is what I just drew. I went over here to look for something, and this is what the fuck I found. There's a room that's like this. They just made a Jacob's fucking ladder and just said, fuck you. Not only that, after all of that, look at what they did to me here.
Oh, an energy tank! No way! Ah! That is so fucking evil. I'm so happy that I could rewind. I think I would have shit myself.
So, after finding the ice power-up, which actually slaps...
So yeah, and then... Oh, wow, that is a fucking... That's awesome. This upgrade is so good.
I was finally able to find Mini Boss Hideout 2. From there, I very quickly found the high jump power-up and the second mini-boss.
Oh, there it is! It's the boss. We found the mini-boss. We found it. Okay.
Seems Mini-Boss Hideout 2 is far less of a maze than Mini-Boss Hideout 1, which is honestly very welcomed because I was so sick of getting lost at this point that I really didn't question it. This is Ridley's first appearance ever, and he fucking sucks. He's way, way easier to take down than Kraid. I thought it was another psych out, but no. Ridley, who goes on to be super notable and a staple of the series, is a little bitch compared to Kraid. Which, who even is Kraid? Wait, so you're telling me that this is Kraid? This dinky little pixel art becomes this beast behind you in Smash Bros. Melee? What? I don't know if it's just me, but that did not translate. Genuinely, this was so unintimidating that I kept on calling the blue one Sonic.
I thought that was a boss. Turns out it's just Sonic's cameo in the game, I guess. You met the syringe hedgehog.
But Ridley took me like 5 minutes to beat, and Kraid took me like a solid hour. Okay, freeze for just 1 second. I'm noticing here the height difference between Samus and Kraid is not that big. And then all of a sudden, he's literally a massive giant. I don't want to throw stones, but I think that Kraid might be juicing just a little. Just a theory. So I looked it up and found out that Ridley actually has 2 different boss patterns, if you could call them that. This is another thing that seems pretty innovative for its time. There's still debate on whether or not it's based on the time that you get there, or if it's completely random. Either way, I watched a video where someone beat Ridley with the other boss pattern, and it still looked super easy. And yes, I triple checked that you are in fact supposed to fight Kraid before Ridley, so Ridley's just way easier. Now that the 2 bosses were defeated, I was ready to go over to Turin. Or so I thought.
We made it! We crushed the bridge to Turin!
Alright, let's add that to the map after we're done getting through this.
A few moments later.
The Metroids are genuinely creepy with the way that they attack you, which honestly suits the game's atmosphere so much. The music, the environment, it's a 37-year-old game, and I felt like I was there in the pixels. But this is no accident. That sense of frustration and hopelessness is intentional. It's pretty well known that Yoshi Sakamoto, a character designer who went on to direct and produce several Metroid games following this one, once said in an interview that Ridley Scott's 1979 film, Alien, had a huge influence on Metroid, which is apparent in that one of the bosses is literally named Ridley. Hip Tanaka, who created the music for this game, said in an interview, "I had the concept that the music for Metroid should be created not as game music, but as music the players feel as if they were encountering a living creature. I wanted to create this sound without any distinctions between the music and sound effects. The image I had was, anything that comes from the game is a sound that the game makes." So it's these 2 things paired together that I think truly made Metroid stand out against others and made people feel like they were really experiencing the game. While it's frustrating and weird, it's still incredibly unique and powerful. So with that said, the Metroids were absolutely decimating me. So I had to go backtrack and find another power-up. I was missing the Varia suit, which is a suit that makes Samus take less damage and helps protect her from extreme heat. This is actually the second power-up in Brinstar that I mentioned before, so I guess I could have had this for a really long time. Oh! In fairness to me though, it's hidden in a roof. This is the only power-up that is hidden in a roof, and there's literally no indication that anything is up there. Now that I had my pink suit, I was ready to take on Turin and the Mother Brain. I love that the suit is pink and turns hot pink when shooting missiles. The area leading up to the boss only has 2 kinds of enemies, Baby Metroid and Evil Space Donuts. The Evil Space Donuts may look harmless, but they do a lot of damage. And while these may be baby Metroids, they're still pretty hard. In order to beat them, you must freeze them with your Ice Beam and then shoot them with 5 missiles. And it says this is the way to do it straight in the manual. These things chase you down and latch onto and suck out your life force. But if you manage to kill them, they're nearly if not guaranteed to drop something, making them excellent for farming before the big boss. I don't know this yet, but this is the room that leads you to the boss.
What the fuck is this?
It's brutal. There's incredible lag here. The donuts are coming at you constantly from every angle, and you need to be focusing on and taking aim at the Mother Brain. Without rewind and saves coming here, I have no idea how long this boss would have taken me. And guess what? When you beat it, there is no time to celebrate.
Oh? Come on! Ah!
You must immediately evacuate or face the punishment of dying once again after finally beating the boss. I can see why this is a very iconic part of Metroid. It's honestly kind of sadistic. Look at these tiny ass platforms. At this point, I was full on saves coming. Forget integrity, I wanted to be done with this game. This game that is older than me, that I've never played before, managed to make me nostalgic for my childhood because it was reminding me of the escape sequences from Smash Bros. Melee. And it's so strange feeling nostalgic for a game that referenced the game that is making me feel nostalgic 15 years after it came out. By the way, Smash Bros. Melee is now actually older than Metroid was when Smash Bros. Melee came out. I don't know if you wanted to feel old today yet, but here you go. Only the best of the best gamers got Samus's true identity revealed to them. If it takes the player 10 or more hours to beat the game, Samus merely hangs her head in shame, not revealing to the player that she is a woman. If the player takes between 5 and 10 hours to beat the game, Samus still does not reveal her identity, she just raises her fist in celebration. That's the ending that I got, by the way. When I saved the universe, but it took me more than 5 hours. Only does the player see Samus's face if they beat the game in 5 hours or less. Getting to see Samus in a bodysuit if they beat it in between 1 and 3 hours, and seeing her in a bikini if they beat it in less than 1 hour. When I saved the universe and it only took me an hour for some reason. If you get either one of the last two endings I mentioned, you can play as Zero Suit Samus on your next playthrough. Something else that's interesting is that if you play as Zero Suit Samus, getting the Varia suit changes her hair from red to green. This secret identity seemed to remain unknown to the public for a while. It's hard to say if that was totally intentional or if that many people actually hadn't beaten it or beaten it well enough to find out. This reveal is huge in terms of video game history, and Nintendo tried its best to make sure that only the gamers truly deserving got to experience it. In the manual, they refer to Samus as he.
Alright. He?
Thanks to an article I found related to the subject by Matthew Bird, I found out there's also a Nintendo official manga that refers to Samus as he and goes as far as to show Samus hanging out with hot babes in bikinis, and then hints to a secret identity again. To be fair, with only the helmet off reveal, back then because it's pixel art, some people still thought that Samus was a man with long hair. But the really funny part that the article mentioned is that in several publications that included the cheat code Justin Bailey, which allows the player to play as Zero Suit Samus without getting one of the best two endings, they referred to it as something that turns Samus into a woman. So I was trying to look up cheats that undress characters in games that are either older than Metroid or came out around the same time to see if it was like a reasonable assumption that the game would just turn you into a sexy girl or just had like a sexy cheat hidden in it. I couldn't really find much besides forums. The only answers I could find in those forums were, "Why are you horny?" "I'm doing research." And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, how correct was my map? This is my map. It's kind of hard to see. Each dot represents a door. The pink represents elevators. The red triangle represents a boss. So I have the actual map right here. Oh, I didn't really draw Turin. Okay. So there's the things. The green means power up, so I got that in Turin. The entrance is pretty correct. The Jacob's Ladder thing was not made up. That was real. My boss finding is completely fucked up. It's no wonder that I got lost there. Oh my. Ooh. Okay, my spacing is obviously quite different, but like, that's wrong too. There's no dead end there. Oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of Norfair that I have not even seen. And my Bryn Star, honestly, is not terrible. I'm really surprised. My map is still wrong. I tried so hard. At the end of the day, I can genuinely say, skill issue. And I look forward to playing improved and fleshed out installments in this series. So I rate this game 3 out of 5 evil space donuts, and I recommend that if you do play this, unless you are a masochist, that you use rewinds, save states, Google a map, and every single tool that you have at your disposal, lest you end up shoving your remote where the sun don't shine.